Hey, what's up everybody? I am the Gerbil and welcome back to another video. I want to talk about the speeder bike pursuit raid and my thoughts and some concerns I have with the information that was released today. This is not intended to be a negative video, and it is definitely not meant to be a review of all the stats and garbly gunk and stuff that was released from CG today. I'm gonna point out a few things. I've watched Arnold and Nooch and several other people's videos already talking about this, and I'm gonna assume you probably have as well. So I'm, again, not gonna read this thing. Just share some thoughts and talk a little bit about kind of my goals going forward and what I want to do to try to help you as we all explore and learn about this raid. So let's get started, shall we? First thing, welcome to Stacktown. Like, I mean, literally, welcome to Stacktown. I know everybody loves numbers, math, and statistics and whatnot in their video games, and that's what we have here. Fortunately, the math really is, even though I've kind of written this in algebraic notation, the math is elementary level. With, it just depends on how you want to think about it here. So these are screenshots of the abilities currently in the tier 5 in Leia GL unlock. And these abilities are verbatim the same as what was released today by CG. So the raid is definitely more complicated than this. I think that the Leia unlock is like a window into what's coming, but the abilities are exactly the same in name and likely in like what they do. So I'm going to get into how in a moment as to how this is going to be different from the GL Leia unlock, but basically, if it is indeed the same, then it's basic elementary math, and there's not a lot of effort that may need to go into this. So I think my initial reaction is this raid is going to be very, very, very easy to master. I think people are going to master it super fast. For example, if we look at either Luke or Leia's kits here, and this is Luke on the left, Leia on the right, special 2 on the top, special 1 basic, and you break down what it says. I'm just going to look at divert attention, top left. It says inflict 1 stack of damage over time and 4 stacks of distract, so that's 5 on all enemies. So that's 5 stacks times X enemies. So let's say you got 3 opponents. That ability lands you 15 stacks across your enemies. Cool. How do you beat enemies? You get a bunch of stacks on them. Special 2 or special 1 for Luke says inflict 2 stacks plus 4 stacks of sideswipe. Well, that's 2 plus 4 is 6, and 6 is better than 1, right? Or 5, right, Gerbil? So special 1 is better? No, because special 1 targets a singular enemy. So it's 2 plus 4 times 1. So a maximum of 6 stacks on your opponent. So depending how many opponents we're fighting, and depending like what you're aiming for, winning with side stripe or winning with distract or whatever, special 2 is clearly better than special 1. But let's look at the basic. Basic says inflict 4 stacks of damage on the enemy, and that's it. So it's 4 times 1, just 1 enemy, 4. So special 1 is better than the basic. In other words, push the far right button, push the middle button, push the basic, and repeat. Whatever option is on the farthest right, yeah, that's what you push, right? And you basically cannot win. Leia's is the exact same, except instead of putting stacks of sideswipe or distract, depending on which one, she's putting a little bit of both and some stacks of damage or whatever. I don't know. Actually, it's almost the same now that I'm looking at it. But in the upcoming raid, there are going to be 8 different abilities. 8 of them, and they do tell us which ones are which. So this really does look like what the raid is going to be. The good thing is it's going to be easy. The bad thing I'm going to get to in just a second. And I don't mean to say the bad thing. It's not the bad thing. It's the what I am concerned about until we receive additional information, because new info can always change all of this radically. So, long list of hello there, an overview. Again, I'm assuming you've read it. At the top of it, there's a couple things I want to point out, though. Each enemy has 4 different icons above their head. We're going to just call those debuffs. I don't know why. I guess they're technically not debuffs because it doesn't change them, but I mean, like, Purge is a debuff, even though Purge does nothing to the enemy. It only benefits the Inquisitor. So I don't know why they didn't just call them debuffs, but basically every enemy is going to have a potential 4 stacks above them: damage, distract, sideswipe, or timber. And this happens to be the way you're going to defeat those enemies, is by accumulating these stacks until it reaches a checkpoint for each of the 4 types of enemies. And once those enemies reach their maximum number of damage or distract or sideswipe or timber, they will be defeated. So we're not going to do damage in this raid based on protection or health. It's all about stacks. Stack town, stack town, stack, stack, stack. Stack those, stack, anyway, moving on. In the bottom here, you see I got a big concern pointed out here in yellow. It says you'll earn points by defeating an enemy. There is no final boss in the raid. Okay, so defeat as many as you can. This is what my concern is, and it's going to tie into the cadence discussion at the end. If there is no final boss, and enemies just come in wave after wave after wave, I think it's a typo. The sentence immediately above that says, so the amount of jam presented on your squad when you defeat wave 1 will result in adjustments to the difficulty of wave 3. So they skip wave 2. I don't know if that's a typo, if there's going to be 1 wave or 2 waves or 3 waves, or a lot of waves. Is it my big concern is there a fixed number of waves of enemies that you have to defeat, or that you aim to defeat, or is this going to be like a timed event where you have 3 minutes start to finish no matter what, and your goal is to defeat as many enemies as you can in that 3 minutes? If it is like 1 or 2 waves, fine. I that's what I want. If it's defeat as many as you can in 3 minutes, this is going to become beyond stale very quickly. And I'll show you why in just a few moments. In pink, it says, additionally, though, you can earn points by mitigating the amount of stacks removed on your own characters through evading or repairing. So this immediately makes me think that healers are going to be really important. And there is actually an ally ability that says heal in the name, so we can assume it's going to heal. But you're going to kind of interesting. It's very interesting who has those abilities. So let's move on. Okay, so these are the enemies. There's a lot more screenshots and information that's given to us at the forum posting at Capital Games website, so check that out. But essentially, in the yellow there, how do you kill the enemies? You put these stacks in them, and every character, every enemy is different. Now there's a bullet point list that says there are 4 enemies: Recruit, Scout Trooper Commander, Shadow Scout Trooper. However, they only, at least when I hit refreshed 100 times and changed browsers and checked my phone, they only showed kits for Scout Trooper Recruit, which is different from the bullet point list. I wish I put a screenshot of that. So I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. In this, I would imagine, it says it's final. I mean, I assume it's final, but it could change. But what I want to point out is that every single enemy that they share here, the Scout Trooper Recruit, the Commander, and the Trooper, they all remove stacks of damage from themselves. And when they become enraged at some point, whatever happens to enrage them, they can remove all stacks of evasion and jam from all enemies. Now that's going to be on yourself. You're going to have stacks of evasion. You're going to get stacks of jam. No peanut butter, sorry. But they themselves remove stacks of damage. What's noteworthy, and I've done the query 100 times, they don't, as far as we know, CG did not say if there is any way that they can remove stacks of distract, sideswipe, or timber, which means that if you have a quick way to apply distract, sideswipe, and timber, that may be the fastest avenue to winning, because nothing seems to remove distract so far. And folks, if I've got part of this wrong, let me know. I am a teacher first and foremost, and what that means to me is that we learn from our mistakes. So let me know if I got something wrong here. We're all digesting this. Now, there's some interesting stuff here. In that word, in a bunch of the word blob throughout this, it says that there's a granted faction ability for Ewoks, and the word jam is what caught my attention. because I'm assuming that's jamming signals, comm jamming. That's actually the name of an ability. But the jam ability is really, really limited. So I did searches for all these abilities and like took some notes. So jam only pops up twice outside of this enrage mechanic where it says remove all stacks of evasion and jam. And it's in the Ewok kit here. It says, when this character uses a basic ability, they remove bonus stacks of timber to target enemy equal to the number of stacks of jam on all allies. When an enemy is defeated with timber, all Ewok allies gain jam. So this is really interesting because it implies that you're removing stacks of timber from your enemy, but yet you want to kill them by giving them 30 stacks of timber. So that sounds like it's working against you. I don't quite understand. And then it says, in addition, in a different part, it says, in addition, jam can be consumed by Ewoks to deal additional stacks of timber, or will be consumed to lower the difficulty of incoming waves. I'm really confused on like a lot of what that means, because they didn't specify how the difficulty level will increase. Does the difficulty mean that the opponent's kits that we're reading here are going to be different, like in wave 1? They're going to, you know what? I don't know. It's really a bit confusing. And until we get additional information or get to play this, it's really, really hard to know what these things are going to mean. But yeah, like that's the only referencing to jam in the entire post, and like how to apply timber and stuff. It's I really feel this post added a lot of questions. Now, they gave us this graphic to show us what the 30 characters in the game, what abilities they're going to have. They all have the exact same basic ability, the AX-20 blaster cannon, and then some have a special, all have a special 1, some have a special 2. Only Leia GL has a special 3, or an ultimate ability. But this graphic is super hard to read. Capital gains, white. Like when you make a table like this, don't use the same color for your cell lines as you do the outlines, as you do the text. Like drop it to a really, really, really dark gray so that it's visible on a black background if that's what you want, but it's not in your face screaming, this is an Excel spreadsheet, right? Makes it a whole lot easier to read. Or invert the contrast, actually. It's just white text on black, super painful. It sincerely is. Here's what it should have looked like. So I shared this on Reddit and in my Discord, and I'm gonna build out a spreadsheet with a lot more data over time. This is one of my goals, how I want to try to help people, is to help you see better ways, or like who has what. So this little spreadsheet, I've got Ewoks, Imperial Troopers, with the 1 Jedi, and then all the Rebels. And I've checked off which ability they have. Unlike in this, where it shows like just straight across, like you can see Admiral Akbar special 1 at the top, evasive maneuvering, but also that's special 2 for Captain Drogan. So it's kind of confusing. The special 1 is the same as special 2 for different characters. So the way I did it instead is I list the 7 specials, and then I check which characters have them. So we can see like Chirpa at the top, he's got evasive maneuver, and he has this hasty repairs. And that repair, I think, is going to be really important based on that previous line we read that said you gain points from repair mechanics. So the repair, for example, is like, well, who else has repair? Instead of trying to hurt your eyes and, you know, like get super eye fatigue, in this spreadsheet, you could actually just like sort by it. And I haven't shared this yet, the actual Excel. Maybe I'll link it down below in the comments, but the description, but it's very much in its infant phases here, as I haven't like really fleshed out other details I want to add. But we can see immediately Chirpa has hasty repairs, Ewok Elder has it, Poplu has it, and then Admiral Akbar has it, which is really interesting because we have a healer, a support, a tank, and then Akbar, I think, is another support. But what they all have is a cleanse mechanic of some kind, or a heal mechanic, which is interesting. Like Akbar recovers health by cleansing, Poplu cleanses an ally. So there seems to be some synergy there, but basically three Ewoks and a Rebel are the only ones with this hasty repair mechanic. But we can also see from looking at this, like Imperial troopers, none of them have the open fire, the forest friends, which makes sense, hasty repairs mechanic. And then none of the Ewok, of course, have the divert attention, even though I say, of course, that's literally what they did throughout the movie was divert attention. So that's kind of interesting. So when you're building your teams, if you need, for example, a divert attention, you absolutely want to look more at your Imperial troopers. But if you need a hasty repairs, you're going to need an Ewok or an Akbar. So I think this could be really good later when people are trying to build out your teams. Now, notably, Logray and Stormtrooper. It's Stormtrooper. I thought it was Shore. Logray and Stormtrooper are the only characters who have jammed their comm links. Now, we don't really know what that is yet or what it's going to really do, because I don't think that was in the description. But noting that these are the only two characters have it with it really make me think that those are going to be very, very, very good abilities. Also because they're very under-geared characters in the game. I mean, like, sincerely, even if you relic up for Leia, you've got like a Kneesaa Wicked Chirpa, you probably stop right there if you don't want to play Ewoks. Or if you go on Rise of the Empire, you probably went like, not Rise of the Empire, but like Territory Wars or GAC, you probably went Poplu Elder. Logray is the one that most people take out, even though I think that's a huge mistake. I think Logray needs to stay, but I digress. So a lot of people don't gear up Logray. Likewise, Stormtrooper is a great character, but relative to the other Imperial troopers, he's just not as effective. I know some of you are going to disagree with me, but sincerely, he is one of the most under-geared Imperial troopers. So this is a way for CG to push the gearing, monetization. That's the name of the game, right? So I'm watching these two characters very, very carefully, but let's move on because there's so much to talk about. So abilities. Welcome to Stacktown. Each faction has an additional bonus, which I believe is going to be part of their basic. Well, it is. It says it so. Like, so for the top one here, it says Rebel faction. When this character uses a basic ability, they repair 2 stacks of damage on all allies. That's great. This character gains a stack of shield for every stack of repair above max. How do you have something above max? Max implies it's the limit. Thank you. That's confusing. But I mean, like, if you really think that's confusing, read Imperial Trooper. This character starts the battle with 5 stacks of jam. Okay, cool. There's some jam. I guess I overlooked that before. When this character uses a basic ability, they remove a bonus stack of damage to the target enemy equal to the number of stacks of evade on all allies. Then the character loses all stacks of evade. Okay. I really got to think about this, and until we see like how all the different abilities apply these stacks, it's going to be really tricky. But fundamentally, boys and girls, this is Stacktown. Now, it's also worth noting that up above in the yellow, I've heard a lot of people talking about raids and some other stuff. I'm not mods. Sorry, mod. I'm not so worried about remodding, and we're going to look at why in a second. But it says that abilities, it says stats granted by leader and unique abilities as well as the mods that the players have equipped will provide additional effects for your abilities in the raid. I'm going to show you what those are. So a lot of people are talking about the value of hot utils right now and how you're going to need to remod, and I don't really think that's true. In the beginning, we thought that we'd have to remod everything for crate, and many of us did every raid, and then we got sick of it and we just stopped caring and stopped modding. And you know what? At least for me and my guild, we're still achieving about the same results as when we started. So I don't really think that mods are going to make a huge difference. I think what's going to make a difference is using the right abilities in the right team comps with the right leaders. I think that that's really what it's going to come down to. So I'm not stressed about the modding situation. So like what are these abilities? Well, welcome to Statistics Town now. What the abilities have, each character is going to have an additional chance to apply or remove stacks based on the amount of health, protection, physical accuracy, physical crit avoidance, potency, health steal, attack damage, critical damage, physical crit chance, armor, physical evasion, and tenacity. Disgusting. Just absolutely disgusting. I mean, this feels like you need to like spend an hour doing some serious number crunching, but folks, really, at the end of the day, I don't think you need to remod. I mean, like, really. Okay, let's take armor, for example. If your character has 0 to 50% armor, then nothing happens. All right, fine. But if you're playing this with like your CLS or Imp Troopers, teams that you probably already relicked, then they've got over 50% armor. Almost, I mean, so many characters are. So they're already going to be in that 50 to 70% range, which says block 1 incoming stack of damage. Great. If you have higher than 70%, block 2 incoming stacks. 70% of armor is pretty thick. That's basically your tanks. I don't see any reason to mod for that. Just none. I really don't. Time will tell, and maybe that becomes super important, but I don't see a need to mod for that, right? If you look at tenacity, you know, most characters by the time you hit gear 13 already have a tenacity base in that 60 to 70% range. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine that you're playing with a character that has under 20% tenacity. Now, maybe at the lowest difficulty level of this event with an under gear 12 character, fine, maybe that's going to matter. But the vast majority of people, and I do mean that, already have some relic characters on this list. And so for those relic characters, I don't think you're going to need to remod these. I just really don't think it's going to be worth the effort. So while you can break this down and you can read all this and say, okay, what is my attack damage? And oh, I really wish I had more attack damage. Well, every character needs more attack damage. If you've modded your offense, your attackers for offense, then great. That's the bonus you're going to get. So yes, you can take the time, but I don't think you should, and I don't think you need to. I'm not going to read all this, but here's a line that caught my attention. With the speeder bike raid, you will be allowed 8 attempts instead of the 5 you're familiar with in the crate raid. So here's the math, folks. If this runs for 8 months, that's 240 days. If the raid runs every 6 days, because they're changing the cadence, that's good, then in 240 days, you're going to have 40 opportunities to play this raid. If you have 8 attempts per raid, so it's 8 times 40, there's 320 runs. If each run is on a clock, as I mentioned before, like an unlimited number of troops, right, kill them all in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, then this is going to suck. If it is just like defeat wave 1, then wave 2, then wave 3, and you can do that in a minute or 2 minutes, then it's going to just be a bit monotonous eventually. If it actually takes 4 minutes per run, well, 4 times 8 is 32 minutes every 6 days. I mean, I can do that. Most of us can do that, but it's a half hour every week. And I don't know what I'm spending right now on my crate raids, but I think significantly less. Actually, when I do the math, I think my average run is about 1.5 minutes times 5. So that's I can do math. 7.5 minutes is 15 minutes a week. So this really feels like it has the potential to actually take more time, depending on mechanics and whatnot. If it's like the GL Leia still running over here in the corner, then it'll be like mindless too, just like special 2, special 1, special 2, special 1, special 2, special 1, just hammering those specials. So I don't know, folks. We'll just have to wait and see a little bit, but I do have some concern right here. Last slide. It is no. We got one more here. The raid modifiers are similar to crate. You can start low, under geared, gear 12 and below, whatever, going up to what we think is still relic 8 to get to the level 6, or maybe it was relic 7, I don't know. I don't think it's actually explicitly stated, but it's probably relic 8 to get to level 6. So basically, yeah, the enemies get stronger the higher you go, but the rewards, the points you earn will go up also. So that's going to be good. Yep, just be aware of that. And then what's impacted by RNG? Basically, there's not a lot of RNG with the exception of evasion and cooldown. So they're saying that you can get a maximum of 40% evasion on an incoming attack, affecting both the survivability of your characters and the damage output. I don't know if the enemy can gain evasion, because honestly, if the troopers can get evasion, that's gonna suck. I mean, like, when the enemy should start dodging, like, everybody goes nuts. The economy changes a little bit. They do move your Mark III to this new rate, so Crate Rate ain't gonna get any Mark IIIs, but they are substantially increasing your Mark I and Mark IIs, which actually makes it a little tempting to consider running that every once in a while, maybe, but I wouldn't. Actually, now that I think about it, because if they also change the cadence for that to run every 6 days also, then it's not really worth it. I mean, you're only getting like an extra 1500 Mark II out of the deal and some Mark 1s. So I think you're going to want to focus, no matter what, on the new speeder bike raid for those Mark III currencies, like, sincerely. And then last but not least, like, how do you get points? You defeat enemies, you evade attacks, you repair your units. So the repair, man, that I'm thinking Chirpa, Logger, no, it was Chirpa, Ewok, Healer, Poplu, and Admiral Akbar, who was in space. But whatever. So yeah, here's the points. Defeat a recruit, defeat a scout trooper, defeat a commander. And my immediate question is, like, what tier level is this? Is this like the same for all tiers? And if so, I don't know why maybe there's a multiplier for higher tiers. We don't know, right? Time will tell. But you can see repair damage. Oh, it's only 500 points. So you're not going to get a lot for that. Successfully evade attack, not a lot. But if that's like 500 points per stack, right? And maybe that healing mechanic like drops like 5 stacks on all characters, or even 3. You know, if it removes 3 stacks per ally and you have 3 allies, right? That's 6 stacks. That's 3,000 points per repair, or trigger of that ability. I don't know, right? Time will tell. So this this reveal has a lot of information in it, but it sincerely presents a lot of questions. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it kind of gets your noggin thinking and speculating and enjoying and prepared a little bit more. Let me know what you think in the comments, or hit me up on Discord. Love to chat about this stuff. And give me a like and subscribe, please. You know I appreciate that. I do. And I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.